A very good day to you and welcome to this service of worship from Nottage Chapel for Sunday the 13th of September 2020. Almost exactly 6 months since the chapel had to close for face-to-face worship due to the coronavirus pandemic. And we begin our worship with some words of welcome by the Reverend Susan Pickering. Jesus said, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God." We are called to be peacemakers, to stand against injustice, inequality, and oppression. For injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Let us gather then as the children of God, committed to the call to peacemaking. We gather as the children of God, and the God of peace is our refuge. Let us worship together. Now, the reading I have chosen for today's service is a poem by Robert Frost. You may be familiar with it. It's called "The Road Not Taken." Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both, and be one traveller. Long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took the other, as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear. Though as for that, the passing there had worn them really about the same. And both that morning equally lay in leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less travelled by, and that has made all the difference. The words there of Robert Frost. Now would you please join me in a period of prayer. Ever-present God, source and ground of all that exists, present and active everywhere in the universe. Your gift is life. May we be empowered to embrace life's possibilities with positive energy. May we be helped to deal with our self-doubts, to control our inner fears, to lessen our self-criticism. May we be helped to find that inner release and that outer confirmation to live life fully. To live life as connectedness with God, with nature, and with all other people. This gift of life has provided us with many excellent experiences, and a range of possibilities are before us each and every day. May we have an attitude of openness that draws us towards the best experiences and the best possibilities. And may we be prompted to be more expansive and more inclusive as we accept our responsibility to make God's reign visible through gracious generosity. We recognise that the world will be a better place for more people as we combine our concern for personal objectives, achievements, and successes with real efforts to create conditions for an informed community awareness and for social change. May we live out this concern and this effort. May people see in us the spirit of appreciation, gratitude, and generous self-giving. Those things that we have seen in those great men and women who have lived holy lives. Let us now spend some time in silent prayer, bringing before God our gratitude and our concerns this day. In returning from the silence, I invite you, should you wish, to join me in saying the words that Jesus taught, the Lord's Prayer. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Every moment of every day that we live involves risk of some sort. This week I learned something new and quite remarkable about the monarch butterfly. When its life cycle as a caterpillar comes to an end, and very shortly after it sheds the fifth of its caterpillar skins, its head splits open, covering the animal in a green slime. It then ceases to be a caterpillar as the chrysalis begins to form. A fortnight later, the monarch butterfly emerges from this chrysalis, dries itself off, and flies away. You want to talk about risk? Try opening your head and melting into green slush, then turning into something else completely, and breaking free and learning to fly. That's risk. The metamorphosis of the monarch from caterpillar to butterfly is a great metaphor for life. Such metaphors can be very helpful. But today, I want to talk about actual, not metaphorical, risk-taking. So the question I would like us to contemplate this day is, what does it mean to be a people of risk? A people who are willing to take a leap of faith despite not knowing what will happen next. What does it mean to take the road less travelled? For it will indeed make all the difference. As individuals, we all have our personal fears. What feels risky to one person may not to someone else. Many years ago, when I was in the fire service and I went on a junior officers course to the Fire Service College in Gloucestershire, I received a compliment from one of the instructors on how willing I was to, as he said, put my head above the parapet and speak up when I, or more usually someone else, was being badly treated, to risk having my head knocked off. He said, "I wish there were more people who were as brave as you." I remember at the time thinking, are you taking the mickey? I'm not brave at all. The truth is, I don't like confrontation, and I will try to avoid it wherever possible. I would rather be a peacemaker than a fighter. By my nature, I will never take the risk of putting my head above the parapet unless I feel that I have no other choice. But isn't this often the way? As a people of faith, we need to develop our ability to take risks, even when, on the inside, it might not feel absolutely necessary. Because the world will be a better place for us taking the risk. And we need to take those risks because we will regret it if we don't. We need to take these kinds of leap of faith risks because the world as it is isn't okay. Divisive politics, shocking inequality, and climate change. These are just a few of the things that will continue to grow unless we take the risks for the sake of a better world. So how do we do this? How do we take risks when it's not in our comfort zone? Well, as a worshipping community, we do it together, as a team. As is the case with so many people, the biggest risks I have ever taken in life have been because someone showed me the way. Someone believed in me, and someone talked me through. And when I got scared, the same people said, it's natural to be frightened, but don't let it stop you. Now, I don't want to pretend that any of this is easy. Taking risks, even with the support of others, is very scary. There will be times when we just want to pull the curtains closed, hike the duvet up over our heads, and pretend that the world doesn't exist. And that's okay, but only for a while. We can't stay there forever. Life isn't about playing it safe. It's about living fully and abundantly. Of course, some risks are unwise and even decidedly foolish. Driving without your seatbelt, smoking, taking illicit drugs, etc. These things aren't risky. They're downright deadly. But even non-foolish risks, those risks that are worth taking, might cost us a lot. Falling in love, for example, is an enormous risk. We might have our hearts broken. Working for justice is also a huge risk. Plenty of people have laid down their lives for the cause. And we, quite understandably, don't wish to pay that kind of price ourselves if we can at all help it. All these things are huge risks that might not go well. And even when our risk does work out, there is a cost. The cost is what you left behind in order to move forward. As a congregation, we need to work as a team. We need to give each other courage, to be able to say, I'm scared too, but we'll do this together. But we also need something more. We need to remember that sticking with the status quo is risky too. We need to remember that nothing ever stays the same. We need to cherish each moment, to remember that life is short, to remember that yesterday is gone. You can't change it. But tomorrow can be a fresh vision. We need faith and we need forgiveness. And we need to let go of anger and hurt and everything that is false. Especially, we need to let go of the false notion that we are in control of everything. Life is about living in the here and now, in the present moment. So don't let us protect what we've got. Instead, let us experience what we can. My hope and prayer today is that we will take the risk to reach out and let go of what is unreal and false and live into what is true, so that we might live our best and most exciting story as a congregation yet. Thank you for listening, and Amen. Well, as you can see, we are not yet back to face-to-face services, although the officers of the congregation have been working very, very hard to meet the various regulations that have been put in place by the Welsh Government. However, there has been a spike in cases of the coronavirus in certain parts of Wales, and we're keeping a very close eye on what happens with the possibility of local lockdowns or perhaps on a wider scale. So we will keep you updated via these YouTube offerings and via the Facebook page and Twitter page and the website. As I've said throughout this lockdown, if you need to have any assistance with anything really, then you can always contact us via the Facebook page or Twitter, or via my works email address, which is nottage.minister@gmail.com. And if we can't help you directly, we will seek to find somebody or some agency that can. For those of you who live in the Nottage or Porthcawl and even the larger Bridgend area, when we get back to a proper normal, we look forward to hopefully welcoming you in person to the chapel and all the activities that will resume at some point. Thank you for joining us today at this video service, and we bring this service to a close with these words of benediction. Let us go out with joy, awakened to the treasure within and around us, to bring transformation, to bring challenge and hope to the world. And may the abundant blessings of God be ours today and always. Amen.